This is Bob Sorrentino from Italian Roots in Genealogy, and I'm here today with Amie Tennant, who is the genealogy reporter. So welcome, Amie. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me, Bob. I'm glad to be here.
No, that's great. And so you're out, we were just talking a little bit, you're in Ohio, yeah?
Yes, the good old state of Ohio, in about the Midwestern vicinity in a rural area, born and raised, but I did move away for 17 years. I just happened to move back and buy a little farm 2 miles down from my home place. So.
Oh, that's great. That's fabulous. That's fabulous. My daughter, both our children are adopted, and my daughter.
Mine are too. All three of my children.
No kidding. Wow,
yeah,
that's awesome. That's great. Well, Nicole her birth family comes from South Carolina. I think about a half hour from Columbia. And they still have, I don't know, 40, 50, 60 acres out there. And I keep telling her, why don't you go there? She's a nurse. Why don't you go there and we'll buy a farm and build a couple of buildings or something.
Well, our family, we have, my farm is 2 miles on the same road as where I grew up. My sister's farm is 2 miles the other direction on the same road. And my parents have since moved, and they moved around the corner about 1.5 miles. And then my son is on another house on their property. So there's a big chunk of us here on several different farms as well.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. And they're working farms, yeah?
No, not necessarily, no. Mine, we have chickens, and they work. They lay wonderful eggs. When I was growing up, my dad did do a little bit of agricultural farming, wheat, corn, soybeans. But right now, none of us are currently farming agriculture. I'm the only one that keeps chickens. So we're not big on that part. It's mostly hobby farming, gardens, things like that.
Yeah. Well, my nephew's he's in Massachusetts, and he has chickens too. So
I love chickens.
So I'm going to assume that since you're in Ohio, that your family's been here for quite some time, yeah?
Yes. My family came to the area about 1805-ish on one line, and then probably around the 1830s from another line. So we've been in Ohio for a very long time. We've been in this exact county since the 1940s.
Oh, okay. And where did they come from before they came from Ohio? Were they immigrants, or did they come from another state? Or?
No, they came from another state. One line came from Delaware, and the other one came from Pennsylvania. The Pennsylvania group were German Baptist, so they came from the German vicinity. The ones in Delaware, I am not 100% sure where all of them came from. One line of the Delaware group was from England, but for the most part, I think we were German English immigrants, and they would have come probably in the time frame of about 1700s. But honestly, I've not been able to substantiate that. So I hesitate to throw that out there until I personally do the research and confirm exactly where they came from. So,
yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up because, a lot of people, and I'm the same way. I don't take anything at face value. I have to confirm it and reconfirm it. And sometimes, in one case, I actually went to a professional. I said, "Am I right here?" But I don't take anything at face value. And I know a lot of people, they go on Ancestry and they start clicking away, and, the names are the same, and, they just assume that that's who it is. But I think it's important to stress for this conversation and anybody doing research is you really, really want to be accurate when you do this.
Yes. It saves you and everyone else a whole world of hurt.
Yeah.
If you're accurate and thorough in your research. I agree.
How did you come about to start the website? And I guess, probably helped you along, but also to offer advice to other people.
I had been doing genealogy for quite some time. Actually, Bob, I'll tell you a funny story. I attended Brigham Young University, Provo, Utah, as a freshman in college. And we all had to take one semester of family history.
Really?
Yes.
Ah.
And I hated it. Hated it. I mean, if you would have told me that I would become a professional genealogist, I probably would have laughed you right out of the funny papers. I mean, really, I just hated that class. I did poorly. Okay. It did not pique my interest. But then later on, the big scrapbooking craze got real popular among stay-at-home moms. And I was a brand new stay-at-home mom. And I thought, yeah, I love scrapbooking. So I started gathering all those family photos and realizing that mom and dad did not know the names of a lot of these pictures. That's what got me hooked. And I started in on my own family search work. And then I got a calling at church as a family history consultant, where I would work at the local family history center and help other people. That is when I realized, I think I might want to make a career of this. But there was a lot of training that needed to happen between that times. But it was roughly about 10 years when I started my first blog, which was called My Kith and Kin. And I did that for several years, kind of playing around, learning the business form of genealogy and what a genealogy blog for education might look like, and then developed the Genealogy Reporter with an emphasis on education, inspiration, and also news, because the genealogy community was moving so quickly that you could hardly keep up with what was going on unless you were immersed in it. And most people don't have time to immerse themselves daily in the goings on of genealogy world. So that's where the Genealogy Reporter came in.
Oh, that's pretty neat. And, and I started kind of almost the same way. Unlike you, my mom had the same book when I was growing up, and I grew up a very, very long time ago, more years than I want to admit. But we had the old book, and it actually had this wooden cover on it with the black pages and the little corners and everything. And I used to love going through that book. We always had a card. I've mentioned this before. It's about the size of an index card, which was my paternal great grandfather from my dad's mom, and he in Italian it said from the Dukes of Capricotta, and my mother would always say he was like a duke or a count or something like that. And I never pursued it, never thought to ask my grandmother or anything like that. But my mom was pretty good. She had the names on the pictures and everything. Fast forward to from probably 1960 to 2005 or somewhere around there, I started getting the bug to find out where I came from and understand that. And that's where I started, with that card. Well, the amazing thing about it is I always thought I would find a little something about this man. What I found was his wife was actually very, very noble in Italy, and led me back as far as Charlemagne, as direct descendants. So once I did that, I really had this bug. And I kind of did the same thing. I started a little website, mainly to kind of just maybe brag a little bit, but also if the family wanted to look at things. And that was great. But that was only a one-way conversation. And that's why I started doing the podcast. And now I put the YouTube out there too. Because it's just so interesting hearing other people's stories and where they come from. So with that, I mean, what are some of the things that you found out, whether it's in your family or someone that you helped, research their family? What kind of things have you found?
Well, I think the most amazing thing that we found, which very much surprises people when I share this, is that my mother's line is they are a family of free people of color. And that's surprising because my mother looks just like me, blonde hair, light skin, blue eyes. So we were very surprised when we found that her great grandfather was listed as a Black child in the censuses. And as we moved back through time, all the family, they were people of color since 1900. So 1910 is where the family started being recorded as white. That's really not that far removed. And,
Yeah.
and so that has led us to lots of new understandings about why the family felt the way they did, why they lived where they lived. Different aspects of their life started making more sense. And then also to then confirm that using DNA evidence was really special. So having that free people of color line, it's been so fascinating. You know, it was surprising, it's been exciting, but it's also really humbling to know that you can't tell by looking at a person what their history is. And that's why, just another reason why research is so important, and sharing of the family stories, whether that be an oral history or a written history or what have you. So that's probably my number one favorite thing. And then I'd say number two has been researching my children's birth families.
Mhm.
That's been so fun. They don't think it's as fun as I do, but I think it's really fun. My oldest daughter, her family on one side hails from Mexico. So that was very interesting too, because she's a blonde hair, blue eyed, light complected child. And so we realized that there was a Native American, Mexican, Central American tie to her family so close to her, just 2 generations away. So we were able to trace her family back and find that one of her Native American lines leads to a Kiowa Indian woman in New Mexico. I think that was her 5th great grandmother. So those are just 2 of the many awesome things I found doing genealogy.
Yeah, and of course I did the same thing. We all took the test. And the interesting thing about my son, Matthew, is that his dad is Puerto Rican. My wife's dad is Puerto Rican. And they're 5th to 8th cousins through the DNA test.
Oh, how neat.
So that was an interesting find, obviously. And he's older. He's going to be 26. He never really was interested in finding his birth family that much. We would ask him all the time, and we would say, "Nicole did it. Do you want to?" He really wasn't bothered by it. And then I guess it's almost a year now. I got a message from his sister who did DNA and said, "I'm a match to MS on your chart. Who is that?" And, I'm looking for my brother. And I said, "Well, that's him." So, I asked him, and I said, do you want to, meet your birth family and everything? And then he did, so that was kind of the spark that he needed, I guess, to find somebody out there. Nicole, on the other hand, was torturing us from when she was 16. And I said, "Well, you can't, you have to wait till you're 18.
Till you're 18, yep.
That's the way it works." And, "Well, I know somebody who said," I said, "Doesn't matter, So she was the day after her 18th birthday. "Okay, I'm ready. Let's go." We, as I mentioned earlier, they were from South Carolina. Both the kids were born in Jacksonville. But
okay.
Nicole's family was from South Carolina, and doing her research was very interesting because both her parents' families were here from the 1600s.
Oh my!
And
really early.
And came through, Virginia and into North Carolina, South Carolina, which just kind of worked their way down. Nicole is a direct from Daniel Boone and Captain Morgan the pirate.
Oh my goodness, what that is funny. That is so neat. Wow.
Yeah. And she's also a distant dispenser from Princess Di's family.
Wow.
So I was
what
able to
history.
Yeah, and that's through her dad's line. Her mom, I couldn't get really that far back. I knew they came here early, but they didn't have any gateway links or anything like that. So I couldn't really go back that far. And so, but I told her, I said, you're an ancestor of Daniel Boone. She said, who's that? So I
Kids
explained to
these
her.
days.
I know, it's unbelievable. Right? I don't know, maybe because we saw Daniel
Children.
Boone and David Crockett on TV, so we know who they are.
Oh, right.
And they don't show those shows anymore. So you got that spark. I think it's so funny that you went to Brigham Young University and you had to take a class and you hated it, and now you do it. I think that's hysterical.
I know. It is quite ironic that that I was forced to take it. Hey, maybe that's a good lesson to learn. Don't force people. Just encourage, enlighten, and inspire.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I mean, I'm one of maybe just a couple of my family that are really, really interested in this stuff. And I can't understand how people aren't interested in it.
I know.
And other people just think like, yeah, okay, that's nice, but you're out of your mind.
Right.
That's the way I am.
So
So
the proverbial eye roll every time you bring it up or something. Yeah.
yeah. But then, when I do come on something, amazing, or they go, oh, okay, I like that,
Right.
So what, if people go to your website, what could they find there, and how could you help them find their family or do research on their own?
We'll be right back.
Experience Italy like never before, traveling with a scheduled group or create your own bespoke tour with friends with philitaly.com. Pack your bags and follow Phil. That's www.philitaly.co.
Well, I have two big outlets, I guess I would say. And that would be my website, www.thegenealogyreporter.com, and then my YouTube channel. I do use social media quite a bit, Facebook and Instagram, and I post some videos that are exclusive to Facebook or some news blasts or blurbs that are exclusive to Facebook or Instagram. So a little bit everywhere you go. At the blog, I try to focus on material that might be more educational. And then also I have a dedicated post for free webinars for the month of whatever. Actually, I'm behind on getting that May one out. So it will be out hopefully later today or tomorrow. But that offers a place to go each month, the beginning of the month, click on this blog post, and it just lists several free webinars that you can attend either live or as a recording, and it's free. And then my YouTube channel is probably the best place for someone to go to have tips and tricks, education in the genealogy field and of research and so forth, but that are short. I try to keep them at anywhere between 5 to 15 minutes long. I don't like them to be terribly long. So it's a trick or a tip that maybe you could listen to real quick and then go and try it for yourself. So that's a little bit about where to go to get good information from my website or from the YouTube channel.
Yeah, and I think that's really great advice, because I know a lot of people, especially now, more and more people are doing it. They want to start, but they don't really know where to start or how to start. And should I do a DNA test or should I hire a professional? I recently just started, because I've done several interviews with them. I point people towards, if you don't want to spend a lot of money, you're not that interested in finding, this whole list of DNA matches, go to familysearch.org because it's a free resource.
Right. So I don't know if you knew, I work for Family Search as a blogger. I also blog for Family Search.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
And yeah, and I'm also a liaison in my area for their digitizing efforts. So we digitize a lot of the county records here. In fact, we have a project starting today in one of the northern counties. But I love Family Search, and not only for, like you were saying, records and the fact that it's free, that you can get your birth and marriage and death certificates from there. But when it comes to starting your genealogy outright, a very beginner course, they have webinars on there for free that will walk you through step by step of how to do your genealogy from the get-go. Just going around the house and picking up pictures of papers and documents and newspaper clippings, from that to filling out a tree and everything in between. And then you can kind of go out to different websites like myself and others who talk about working specifically with land records or specifically with Freedmen Bureau records or what have you. So I love Family Search. They have so much to offer over there.
Yeah, and I did several interviews with people from there. They've been very nice to me and very gracious, I have to say. And one thing that I didn't know about until I talked to them was that they actually have a free consultation, which kind of give you a jump start too.
Yes, a lot of people don't realize that, and it's become very popular right now because the family history library there in Salt Lake has been closed, and now they have like just very minimal hours, and so those consults became really popular just recently, but they've been there for a while. So
yeah, and I did too. And one of them that I did, I had a roadblock with with a family in Italy, the Riso family, and they uncover the will from my 6th great granduncle.
Wow.
43-page will.
Oh my goodness.
And
wow.
It's all in Italian, right? So,
oh my.
But this 43-page will where he bequeathed everything to my 5th great grandmother. She was the Duchess of Capricata, and he bequeathed it to her because he only wanted to leave his fortune to somebody with the last name DeRiso, and there were no males. And as I went through this with my friend Elena in Italy, who translated it for me, he was a very strong-willed person and wanted to control things even beyond the grave, and put down certain things about this church had to get money from this person and all of that. But he was very, very much concerned that somebody without the last name DeRiso would get his fortune.
Huh.
And it was quite a lot of money. It was 100,000 Ducati, which a Ducati today is worth would have been worth about $150. So it was quite a lot of money that he left.
Wow. Well, anybody that has that kind of money should be able to decide where it goes.
Yeah, exactly. And he wanted it. I mean, what she explained to me was that he wanted this to go on in perpetuity, but it didn't happen because the Italian laws changed, and my 5th great grandmother was actually able to leave it to her oldest son, who was he was a Capici Piccicelli, and so he didn't have the same last name. But there wasn't too much Gaspari could do about it at that point in time.
Right, right. He's a little out of touch by then. Yeah.
Yeah, but I guess the point of this long-winded conversation of mine is that there was very, very valuable information in wills, deeds, church records, things like that you probably you get a better picture of the people through those than just a simple birth or death certificate.
Absolutely. And you know what too, Bob, I don't think a lot of people realize that at Family Search, when they go in and do that initial search on the search page, and they pop in a name and a place and a blah, 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 they're only getting a results list that is of records that are already indexed. Yet there are literally millions upon millions of digitized images in there of records that haven't been indexed. And so learning to use the card catalog, or like you did, going for a consult, will typically reveal these amazing records, land records, probate records, city or town censuses, church records, and all sorts of things that you might have access to, but didn't even know you did because you didn't know how to navigate, Family Search to get it. So I think You're absolutely right. And even in other countries, like you said, in Italy, they have a lot of records from all over the world, not just the United States. So
Yeah, and you can actually watch the little clicker going as they're filming more and more records.
yes, and you can be thinking of me starting today. I wonder if that's something you're doing right now. See?
Yeah, exactly. So if you were going to give one piece of advice to someone who either is just starting out or thinking about starting out, what would that advice be?
I think the most important piece of information for somebody starting out is to get educated first. And even if that's only a 1-hour webinar somewhere, say Family Search on how to get started, just hearing the process of how it works the first time will open up and answer a lot of your questions that you have as a newbie, if you will. And then kind of in conjunction with that, I would say that you need to make education a part of your daily genealogy work. Even if it's just one blog post that you read, one quick video you watch. I use educational videos and webinars from all over the internet on a regular basis, even now. There's just so much to learn. You can't possibly learn it all at once. So education. That's what I say.
That's good advice. And I do the same thing. Well, this has been great. A lot of fun, very educational. Again, I'll put the links out there so everybody knows. Can you give us the name of your website again, and also the YouTube channel?
Yep. The website is www.thegenealogyreporter.com. And it's the same, the Genealogy Reporter, over on YouTube.
Well, thanks again. I really appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you, Bob. Thanks for having me.